So our power rankings for the week, they look weird, and I know, not in line with World Rugby's rankings. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're looking at the past year or two and just the potential that teams have shown prior to this series and where they are now. And there are a couple of teams that have really put up their hands and amazed us in the past couple of games. So this week, right at the top, Australia. I can't not put them there. They've been the standout so far in this autumn series. They have just put together rugby that kind of takes us back 20 years in terms of the excitement that you're seeing from this Australian team. Hopefully it's something that they can maintain and that we can see a strong Australia moving forward. In second place, it's South Africa. You can't fault them. They're still doing a pretty decent job. Even when they're not playing that well, it is still great rugby to see. And there are those moments in games that are just exquisite. And with the type of rugby that they play, it is fun to watch them at the moment. It's a lot more fun than it's been in previous years, with a lot more dynamic play in the back line and a lot more unpredictability, and that makes it amazing. One thing that I need to give South Africa credit for as well is bleeding new talent. They've played 50 different players thus far in 2024, and that puts them in a wonderful position to start and build a really solid squad for the next couple of years. Next up, you need to give France some credit for their win over New Zealand. That is never going to be an easy match, but they stuck it out, and they've been good in both of the last 2 weeks. With this win, it is actually just so much more impressive because this is one where they can really show that they have taken the step up. In fourth place, you have to give the Fiji of Europe, Scotland. You need to give them that place. Yeah, it was a blowout game, but they've been wonderfully exciting to watch, and they've got a wonderful record so far in this autumn series. Next up, Argentina is in the list, and then followed by New Zealand only. Argentina just pips them because if you put up that performance as an Argentinian side against Ireland, you are really putting your hand up for the rest of world rugby to take notice. New Zealand have blown hot and cold. They were so impressive against Ireland, but the other two games, even though they won against England, that game was very close. England should have won had they kicked better on the day. Now the game against France, they fell short again. Yes, it could have gone either way, but they did fall short. So in terms of what you would expect from a New Zealand side, they've not been up to the level where you want them. They are getting better, but they're not where they need to be yet. The next couple might sound weird. So next up I've got England. The only reason I've got England up here, yes, they lost. Yes, they've lost 3 in a row, but they are getting better overall as a squad. If you have a look at the overall points difference that they've had thus far in the 3 tests that they've played, overall they've got 2 bonus point losses, and in total there's a deficit of 16 points. So it's not massive. They are getting better. You're seeing phases of play that looks a lot more impressive, and you're starting to see an England side that might actually start to produce here, which is something that everybody's looking forward to. And next on the list is actually Ireland. Yes, Ireland has not had a losing streak, but as magnificent as Ireland has been in the past 2-3 odd years, they've just regressed as the series has gone on. Last week's game wasn't brilliant. There were some faults that popped in when they lost against New Zealand, and they started falling apart at around the 60-minute mark. When you have a look at the game against Argentina, it didn't start very structured, and it got worse as the game wore on. So they weren't playing good rugby in that second half. It's not the Ireland that we've grown used to, and I hope that they can recapture that, because they've been so brilliant to watch, and it's been one of the most difficult teams to actually break down and really get a win on. So I hope that is something that turns around soon. But for now, they're dropping down in the pecking order. Sorry, I forgot about one. Fiji sits above Ireland, because Fiji had the runaway victory, but it's not one that you really want to give them too much credit for. Yes, it's a decent one. They got their 4 tries, but it's against Spain. That's not ever going to be a game where you're going to say, oh, that was impressive. So just putting up a win like that is not going to instill a lot of confidence. I'm just glad that they're getting a lot more international playing time now at this time of the year. Hopefully this continues in the next couple of years, and there's a lot more games against the top tier nation. Rounding us out is Japan. Yes, they had a win, but also against minnows. Italy had a win, also against minnows. And then Wales is holding up the rest of the table. They've been horrible. They were absolutely smashed by the Australians this past weekend, and they're not going to have an easier assignment next week against South Africa. So, yeah, they round out our power rankings for this week.